Someone said, "I love you," and days later, they vanished. No trace, no explanation, just one final message. He wasn't who he said he was. Now ask yourself, what if the man who video called you wasn't even the man in the video? What if the person who made you feel safe, loved, chosen, was never alone in the conversation? What if the relationship itself was a performance? In this video, you're not just hearing stories. You're stepping into real ones. Moments that happened. Victims that existed. Scams so sophisticated, they fooled lawyers, doctors, mothers, war veterans. Even someone who thought she was marrying Brad Pitt. 5 people. 5 perfect lies. Built with detail. Maintained with patience. And executed with devastating accuracy. These weren't just about money. They were about rewriting reality. Slowly. Until the victims couldn't tell the difference between affection and manipulation. Because the worst scams in the world don't start with a threat. They start with empathy, with connection, with, "How was your day? You mean so much to me. Just trust me. I'll be there soon." But they never show up. Stay with me. Because the deeper this video goes, the harder it becomes to tell what's true and what was designed to feel true. And the final story, the last one, involves a woman who didn't just lose everything. She became part of the crime without even knowing it. If you've ever trusted someone online, if you've ever ignored a strange detail because the connection felt too real to question, you need to hear these stories. Because the most dangerous heartbreak doesn't come from losing someone. It comes from realizing they were never real to begin with. Before we begin, just one thing. These stories aren't here just for entertainment. They're warnings. Every detail you're about to hear actually happened. And the scary part? These scams haven't stopped. They've only gotten smarter, faster, closer. So if you want to stay one step ahead, do this. Hit subscribe. That's how you stay in the loop. Tap like. It tells the algorithm this is worth spreading. Leave a comment, even just a single word. It helps this reach the next potential victim before the scam does. And if you know someone who trusts too easily, loves too deeply, or disappears when they fall, share this with them. Because most dangerous scams don't steal your money first. They steal your judgment. Now, let's begin. Case 1. The Phantom Kernel. What if every good morning you received was written by a machine trained to break your heart? What if the person who made you feel seen never actually existed? Her name was Mary, widowed, mid-60s. She lived alone in a small village in England, kept a tidy garden, and had long stopped believing in grand romances, until she met Colonel Mike Murdy. They met on Tinder. He said he was US military, stationed overseas, respectful, calm, charming. He didn't rush her, didn't flirt like the others. He listened. He told her he'd been widowed too, that he admired her strength, that her messages were the only bright part of his day. "I feel like I've known you my whole life," he said. He sent photos in uniform, videos of him in camp, even voice notes filled with care. His accent matched his story. His words felt handwritten. He knew how to build trust, slowly. He spoke of retirement, of a future together, of finally settling down. Mary told her daughter about him, showed her the photos, the texts, even played a voice message. "Sweetheart, you've brought me back to life." Her daughter was skeptical. She Googled his name, found nothing, warned Mary to be careful. "Mom, please, it's too perfect." But Mary waved it off. "You don't know how it feels when someone truly sees you." She started waking up earlier, just to read his messages, made tea while listening to his voice notes, smiled at her phone more than at people. Then one day, he mentioned an issue, a legal complication with his military pension. Just a delay. He said, "A temporary hold. If I had access, I'd fly to you tomorrow." She sent him $5,000. He apologized, promised it was the last time. Until a week later, a customs problem with a parcel he mailed her. Then, a medical emergency at base. Then, a security fee to unlock funds. Always urgent. Always temporary. She wired more. $3,000. Then, $4,500. She dipped into her savings, then took out a small loan. He always said he'd repay everything. He'd send a photo of flowers. A promise of a ring. A picture of a house near the sea. "I'm not after your money," he said. "I'm after your heart." Mary believed him. She imagined walking with him, serving tea in the garden, sleeping beside someone who finally stayed. She lost $25,000. Then, silence. His account vanished. The videos, deepfakes. The voice, synthetic. The name Mike Murdy, used in dozens of scams. Mary contacted the police. They traced the trail. Said it led to a fraud ring in Nigeria. A team using AI tools to automate affection. Custom scripts, voice clones, emotion on demand. She was one of many. They showed her a report. Same voice, same script, same fake soldier. She saw her own messages, cut and pasted into other women's chats. Even the pet name Sunshine wasn't hers alone. Mary doesn't date anymore. She doesn't use apps, but she still has one voicemail saved. "Sweet dreams, darling. You're everything I ever wanted." It was never his voice, but she listens to it when she can't sleep. Because the lie was exactly what she needed to believe. Case 2. The love that cost $1 million. What if the person teaching you to invest was really just investing in your trust? Her name was Denise. Widowed. Early 60s. She lived in Las Vegas, worked part-time at a local bookstore, and hadn't dated in over a decade. She never expected to fall in love again. But then came Michael. He messaged her on Facebook. Said he found her profile through a mutual connection. He wasn't pushy. He was polite, gentle, warm. He said he used to work in finance, now retired, focused on trading crypto and helping others do the same. They spoke every night. He asked about her son, her favorite childhood memory, the book that changed her life, even her favorite kind of wine. "You remind me what kindness feels like," he said. Denise felt safe with him, like she could trust again. He never asked for anything. He just made her feel seen until month 2. He said he wanted to teach her to invest. Start small, just $500. He walked her through everything on a video call. The site looked real, graphs, balance updates, even her name on the dashboard. She saw her $500 grow into $200, then $5,000, then $18,000. He praised her for being brave. Said she was smarter than most. Said he wished he'd met her sooner. It felt like magic. And Michael said it was just the beginning. He encouraged her to add more, $50,000, then $100,000. From savings, from a retirement account, from a loan. When she hesitated, he reminded her, "This is your future. You're building a legacy for your son, for yourself." By month 6, she'd sent over $1 million. Then came the moment she tried to withdraw. The site froze, then logged her out, then disappeared. Michael stopped answering. No more calls, no more sweet voice. She panicked, called the bank. They couldn't. Help! She emailed support. No reply. She checked the company registry. No record. Michael didn't exist. The photo belonged to a doctor in Belgium. The voice was AI. The platform was a front designed to extract every dollar. Denise contacted the FBI. They told her the platform was run by an international crime ring. They'd targeted dozens of women, all through fake investment mentors, each one trained to seduce with patience and performance. The hardest part wasn't the money. It was the betrayal. The feeling that her instincts had betrayed her, that the person who lifted her up was never real, because she had pictured a life with a man who taught her to dream again. She'd written a future on a foundation of lies. Today, Denise speaks at online safety webinars. She says her mission now is to make sure no one else confuses manipulation with mentorship. But some nights, she still opens the fake platform's old screenshot, just to remember what it felt like to believe, because that's what they take from you. Not just your savings, but your sense of what's real. Case 3. The woman who thought she was engaged to Brad Pitt. What if the man you were planning to marry was one of the most famous actors in the world? Anne believed she was engaged to Brad Pitt. She lived in a small town in France. Divorced. Early 50s. She worked as a stylist and spent her evenings online, watching interviews, reading movie blogs, commenting on fan pages. That's where it started. A message. From him? His profile looked official, verified. Photos from red carpets, snippets from film sets, even behind-the-scenes selfies she'd never seen before. At first, she thought it was a fan account, until he replied, "No, it's really me. I just don't trust the press anymore." He thanked her for her loyalty, said he noticed her comments, said she had a warmth the world lacked. Anne melted. They chatted daily. He told her about the pressure of fame, how lonely it was at the top, how he hadn't felt this kind of connection in years. He started calling her Angel, shared poems, said her messages gave him peace between shoots. Within weeks, she believed they were in love. He said they needed to keep things private because of the media, but he promised to visit her soon, to marry her quietly, in France. There was only one problem. His assets were frozen due to a legal dispute with Angelina Jolie, and he needed her help. Just temporarily. "I've never asked a woman for anything," he said. "But I trust you." The first transfer was $5,000, then $20,000, then $150,000. Each time, he promised it was the last. Each time, he sent her new documents, contracts, court letters. She believed every one of them. Anne sold her car, took out loans, divorced her real husband, all to help the man she believed was Brad Pitt. They exchanged vows over video. He even showed her a ring, said he wore hers on a chain under his shirt. On her birthday, he sent her a photo, him holding a rose. The message said, "Soon I'll hold you like this too." Anne printed it, framed it, put it beside her bed, until a friend grew suspicious. Googled similar scams, found forums, filled with women like Anne. Same profile, same photos, same script. Anne collapsed. She contacted authorities. They traced the scam to a cybercriminal cell in Africa. They used AI-generated audio to mimic Brad Pitt's voice, deep fakes for video calls, fake legal documents, a full digital illusion. Anne had lost over $830,000. But what hurt more was that she'd abandoned her life for a man who never existed. She entered therapy, refused press interviews for months. Some days, she still rereads their chats, because even when it's fake, the feelings stay real. Today, she lives alone. She doesn't talk much about it, but once in a brief interview, she said, "When someone makes you feel seen, you stop questioning the details, because sometimes love isn't blind. It's just scripted." Before we move on, if that last story made your heart race or your stomach sink, just know this. The next ones go even deeper, more twisted, more personal, and one of them might stay with you for days. So, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Hit the like button. It helps this reach more people, the kind who trust too fast, and leave a comment. Even just a word. It tells the algorithm this is worth watching. We've still got more stories to tell. And from here on out, they only get harder to forget. Case 4. The Widower of Sun City. What if, at 92 years old, you finally let someone into your heart again, only to find out it was all a lie? His name was Harold. He lived in Sun City, Florida, a quiet retirement community. He was a widower, Navy veteran, lived alone with his dog, Baxter. Every morning, he made 2 cups of coffee, one for himself and one for the wife he'd lost 12 years earlier. He wasn't looking for love, just company. Then came an email, a woman named Linda. She said she was a widow too. They started writing. She shared stories of her garden, her husband's passing, the ache of an empty house. Harold wrote back, told her about his Navy days, how Sundays were the hardest, how he missed the sound of someone laughing in the kitchen. They wrote every day. Then came calls. She had a soft voice, always asked how Baxter was doing, said Harold reminded her of grace and strength. He sent her photos of his backyard. She sent poems, said she hadn't felt alive in years. "You make the silence feel less empty," she wrote. Harold began waking up excited again. He shaved more often, even asked his neighbor to teach him how to use emojis. Because Linda liked smiley faces, one day she called crying, said her bank froze her account, and she couldn't pay her late husband's medical bills. Harold didn't hesitate. He wired $4,000, then $12,000, then $25,000. The reasons changed: legal fees, surgery complications, a frozen trust fund. Each time, she sent new documents. They looked official, She promised she'd pay it back. "We'll figure this out together." Harold began to believe in together again. He started calling her my second sunrise. She said she dreamed of walking barefoot with him on the beach. Over 14 months, he sent more than $800,000, nearly everything he had. He even sold his car, and said he didn't mind, because love was worth more than comfort. Until one day, his niece visited from Tampa. She asked about the missing savings. He told her proudly about Linda. She asked to see her photo. He showed her, and she froze. She pulled out her phone, opened a site. Reverse image search it was a stock photo, used on dozens of fake profiles. Harold's hands trembled. He went silent. Said he needed a moment. Authorities later confirmed Linda was not one person. She was a team, a fraud ring targeting the elderly, with scripts, voice actors, fake identities. Harold never got his money back, but he kept one thing: her final email. It said, "You've been my light in the darkest place. I'm sorry." He printed it, folded it gently, placed it in the mug he once filled for his wife. And now, every morning, he makes just one cup of coffee. Because some lies don't steal your money, they steal your mornings. Case 5. The victim who became a mule. What if the man you loved didn't just break your heart, but used it to traffic drugs? Her name was Denise Woodrum. She was 51, a devout Catholic from Kansas City. She worked at a convent, collected religious figurines, wrote poetry in the margins of hymn books. Her life was quiet, faith, family, silence. But something was missing. After a painful divorce and years of loneliness, Denise signed up for a Christian dating site. She wasn't looking for romance. She just wanted to feel seen. That's where she met Daniel, a kind, elegant businessman from France, widower. He said he exported medical equipment. He spoke gently, quoted scripture, called her his angel in the storm. They talked every day. He said she had a beautiful soul, that he hadn't felt hope in years. Denise felt chosen. She believed this was a blessing. She started dressing differently, smiling more, praying with purpose again. Then came the complication. Daniel said his company was being investigated. His accounts were frozen. But there was a shipment, a medical device, stuck in Brazil. He needed her help, just this once. She prayed on it, asked her spiritual mentor, and bought the ticket. In São Paulo, she was handed a black suitcase by an associate. She never opened it. Daniel told her to protect it with her life. She boarded the next flight to Sydney, where Daniel promised he'd meet her. Flowers in Sensue's hand. Their first moment, at last. But that moment never came. At the airport, sniffer dogs closed in. Denise was pulled aside. She tried to stay calm. "I'm meeting someone," she whispered. Customs officers sliced into the suitcase lining. Inside, 2.6 kilograms of cocaine. She froze. Tears. Confusion. She handed over her phone. Showed the texts. The voicemails. The love letters. There was no Daniel. No medical company. Just a Nigerian-based crime ring. Voices from scripts. Photos stolen from strangers. And a playbook designed to turn lonely hearts into unwitting traffickers. Denise had been groomed, used, weaponized by her own faith. The court acknowledged her emotional vulnerability, but it didn't matter. She was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. In court, she trembled as she said, "I wasn't trying to smuggle drugs. I was trying to be loved." Behind bars, Denise kept a journal, led Bible studies, taught inmates how to write. But something in her had changed. She no longer believed every miracle was a blessing, or that every kind word came from God. One entry in her journal reads, "I asked for a light in the dark. Instead, I followed a flame straight into the fire." She still believes in forgiveness, but now every letter she writes ends the same way. Love doesn't always come from God. Sometimes it comes from the devil, dressed as mercy. Because some people lose money, others lose trust. But Denise, she lost herself, carrying a suitcase of lies for a man who never even existed. They didn't steal hearts. They used them. That's the part people get wrong. These scams weren't about romance. They were about access, to trust, to vulnerability, to money. But not just any money, yours. because it came with no resistance. Because it came wrapped in hope. Every voice you heard in these stories was crafted for someone specific, someone hurting, someone open, someone who wanted to believe that love could still find them. And that's the part that lingers. Not the fraud, but the echo it leaves. Because after the money's gone, after the truth collapses, what remains is a question no one can answer. Who was I really talking to? So before you go, subscribe, not for content, for awareness. Like this video, if any part of you saw yourself here, or someone you know, and leave a comment. Because silence is how these stories repeat. And if you've ever met someone who trusts too quickly, or disappears when they fall in love, send this to them. Because these aren't just stories. They're warnings. And the next message might already be in someone's inbox.